What's up, guys? The final score back again after a little bit of an absence. We hadn't been on in a while, but man, I'm telling you, everything you find out, the older you get, life can suck sometimes. But and it takes a lot of time. There's never enough time in the day between work, doing all this and doing all that, and then you know, it was sometimes I was up there like, do we really want to do the podcast this week? Then there was sometimes Matthew said, do we really want to do the podcast this week? There was just too much going on. But now we're back in the saddle again. As the old country song says, I'm back in the saddle again. And with me, as always,
Uh-huh.
my partner in crime,
Uh-huh.
Matthew Bazemore. What's up, buddy?
Woo! What's up, Stevie? It's good to be back on the saddle again.
What the heck was the woo? You sound like a big choo choo train. Sound like I would say like the water boy said. Sound like a big choo choo train.
Sounds like a big choo train.
So what's
um,
what's
it
up, bud?
was.
How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. It's good to be back, and I'm glad we can get on here this week and talk a little bit of football and sports, and get to catch up with you. And by the way, talking about the country song about back on the saddle again, you're really showing your age, man.
Heck yeah, I know I'm showing my age. I know I'm
And
old.
nobody says that.
Somebody did because turned out to be a pretty big song. Who wrote? Do you know that song?
I do not. I do not.
I don't know who sang it, but I'm gonna find out right now.
Go ahead and look it up. And
You talking about aging? I mean, come on, dude.
yeah,
I'm happy. I'm proud to be old. Gene Autry.
that's right.
It was co-written by Autry with Ray Whitley and first released in 1939. So yeah,
Wow.
I'm showing my age all right.
So you're about 10 years old when that came out.
Oh, you got jokes. You saved them up all for the last 3 weeks, I guess. I could have been talking about the Aerosmith song though.
True, but
Yeah, the Aerosmith song "Back in the Saddle."
I
Bup,
got
bup,
my
bup.
little list of that I pulled from Google
Oh
that I
god.
can will come back for Stevie Fly.
And you've been saving them up all for the last 3 weeks too, I'm sure.
Yeah, you should see my search history, man. This looks kind of brutal for
Everybody
you.
wants to get on Stevie's bad side. That's what it is.
No, it
Everybody
ain't.
wants to get Stevie mad. Get Stevie mad. That's okay.
It's just
Y'all
kind of
gonna
cute.
miss Stevie when he's gone.
It's just kind of cute to watch Scrappy trying to be tough.
Cute. He's
Cute.
cute. Who's Scrappy? You call me Scrappy Doo? You probably don't know who Scrappy Doo is either, do you?
Yes, I do.
Who is Scrappy Doo?
Scrappy Doo was Scooby Doo's, I guess, son.
I don't know if it was his son or not, but yeah,
What
you're
son?
showing your age a little bit there, buddy.
I know. I'm. Yeah, I know, right?
So don't just talk about me. But anyway, so what's been going on?
Not much, man. Well, actually, a lot, man. Just moved
Not
in my
much.
new
Well,
house. Just moved in my new house back in Milwaukee, and feels good to be back home, out of the city.
in the city. Yeah,
Feels
baby.
good, man.
Every comment you make tonight, I'm gonna have a song for it.
All right. In the moment that you don't make a comment, I'm gonna call you out on it.
Okay.
All
Okay. All right. So tonight we got a little bit of everything to talk about tonight. No one subject, but there's a lot to catch up on. And unfortunately, well, first of all, it's getting ready to be Memorial Day. And what do you got planned this weekend, Matthew? Nothing.
right. Not much of nothing, man. Just
Not to nothing. Yeah, I think I'll be working. I'm gonna probably be working all weekend because
yeah.
I've got a wedding the following weekend, so I've got to be out for that.
Yeah, that's good though. It's good. Weddings are good.
Well, you got one coming up, so
Yeah, it's good. It's good to be to go to a wedding, but not to put on a wedding.
You're finding all about the
Yeah, all of a sudden,
growing up,
money just growing trees
growing
again.
up. That's what it's all about, buddy.
That's right.
And you'll learn it's what she wants. It's not about what you want.
Oh, I know. Before we moved in the house, it was all about how do you want this? How would you like the living room and how would you like the bedroom? All of a sudden, it looks like more her now.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yeah,
All right. So yeah, we haven't. May has flown by. Uh, almost over. Got to throw some shout outs. I'm going to throw a few shout outs today. Uh, one of my old friends from when I worked, one of my first jobs I had over at, it used to be Birds in a Hosky. Richie Burkett's got a birthday today. And a fellow podcaster, he's going to be the special guest next week on the 100th episode of On the Fly on next Tuesday night. So you check that out. Uh, Steve Wright from the Pottered in Hell podcast, and you hear my dogs going crazy.
yeah,
He's celebrating 30 years as a fireman in Pennsylvania today. So
sweet.
yeah, they are that's something you think about. I talked to him on the phone today. And I was like, man, I don't know how you guys do it because he's working like a 36-hour shift. Can you imagine working a 36 hours straight?
I mean, I first thing that comes to mind when I think about that, that's almost a whole week. That I do.
It's almost a whole week of work. Yeah.
Yeah. and oof.
And you don't do much anyway. I mean, you just sit there all day.
Yeah,
Probably,
I'm pretty.
probably
I'm pretty.
uh, texting people that you don't had no business doing or doing something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I'm pretty good at holding a chair down for a job.
I got on. Uh oh, we got a comment coming in, and I can't tell who this is because it says Facebook user might be Brian. I'm thinking it might be Brian, my buddy Brian. But let me tell you what. Okay, let me tell you what happened this week before we get started on the sports stuff. Um, Brian Mullen. He is. I interviewed his wife on the fly, Annie Vander, and Brian's going to be on the show in a couple of weeks. We've been texting back and forth a lot about different things when stuff goes on. So Brian sends me a text Tuesday. Yep, it's Brian. Brian sends me a text Tuesday, and he says it's a picture. It's 4 or 5 pictures. When and there's a picture up there of a T-shirt, and it's on the fly T-shirt. And I was like, "Wow, where did that come from?" And he's like, "Yeah, I got it. Wanted just got it in. I don't know exactly what was said, but I was like, "Where you had it made?" And he was like, "No, I ordered it from a link. There was a link on your Facebook." And I was like, "What?" And to make a long story short, he said he saw it on a Facebook page that that it looked like the picture looked like me up there wearing the shirt. I said, "Well, buddy, I have never seen or wore that shirt before." So somebody out there is making some money off the on the fly. So and off this
Wow.
pretty face. I'm so pretty, like Dusty Rose used to say.
Yeah. Keep dreaming, buddy.
Keep dreaming. Come on,
Keep.
dude. See, I done got you all choked up.
Yeah, I'm choking.
Oh,
I
I
don't know
know
what
who.
else to say.
Hey, Robert. Okay, Robert's a Facebook user. It's coming up. I'm sorry, Robert. It come up as Facebook user. Dude, that good, the bad, and the ugly. The symphony piece was pretty awesome. And I'm not gonna say it about the rest of the text that you sent me either. But yeah, that was pretty cool. But yeah, so somebody's making money off my name again, and typical my luck. I don't know how much that shirt costs, but if I was advertising it, it's had to be a pretty penny.
You know what? They're pretty smart though, because we're not even getting. You're not even getting money for it
I
yet.
know.
I mean,
That's
come
the thing.
on, man.
I get if they're using my likeness, though, dude. That's got to be. They're breaking some kind of law there. But
Yeah, fraud.
it was. Brian just said it was $33 shipped. Wow.
Wow, man.
If I could get away with that,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look into making some on the fly shirts, Matthew, because it sounds like I don't really need to get involved in it too much. I can just put my picture out there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you
Yeah, I
got to
see
get
you,
a little
Robert. Hope it was
involved.
an XL. Ah ha ha. But yeah, so let's get right into it, and we've had some stuff that happened, and of course, let's just go ahead and get the I guess the bad stuff out of the way. Two legends in the last week, one in the sports world, one today in the music world passed away. First, let's talk about Jim Brown, who passed away last
Wednesday.
last Thursday, I believe. But probably the greatest running back, one of the greatest, if not the greatest running back to ever play in the NFL. You disagree? Okay. So, um, yeah, played for the Cleveland Browns, of course. Jim Brown, Cleveland Browns, which that it wasn't, despite what people think. Uh, it was not named after him. It was named after the owner. But yeah, man. I mean, I just remember as a kid, I never got to see him play. Saw highlights all the time. Real punishing runner. I think he played at Syracuse in college, but that was always, when I really got into football, that was always who Franco Harris, the late great Franco Harris, was chasing the rushing yards record, and I was always like, he's going to get it, which he never got it. But um, unfortunately, I don't know where he sits now. As far as the rushing record goes, there's been a lot that have passed him by. They were all he carried about 2,359 times for 12,312 yards and 106 touchdowns. All were records when he retired. And he didn't play. I mean, he could have played for a while. He played 8 years, 57 to 65, I guess 9 years. Brown was a better Robert's full of himself tonight. Say Brown was a better lacrosse player. Um, I don't know about that. I'm not a big lacrosse fan, but
Me
we'll
neither.
see.
I didn't know what lacrosse was until like
Let's
two
see.
years.
I'm looking at his stuff now to see if Robert is joking. They say he did get bored. He went into acting. Um, he did several movies, especially back in the '70s. Rio Conchos, The Dirty Dozen. He was in that. Um, what else was he in? The Split. He was his first leading role. Right. He was in a bunch of movies. I didn't realize he was in that. He was also on the A Team. He on the episode of A Team. Chips. He was in the Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Get to the chopper. It's not a
Get to the
tumor.
chopper. I gotta go to the clapper.
Look, there's things on TikTok, and I've really got to start looking at the videos on TikTok. They've got Arnold Schwarzenegger singing "I Want to Dance with Somebody" by Whitney Houston, and putting his face. You can check it out and on the Fly Facebook page. His face is on her body the whole time, and he's
Oh
singing, and I'm
God.
like, oh my! And then they have one with him doing "Over the Rainbow," the and being Dorothy in Wizard of Oz. But, whew, yeah, for the Jim Brown, you know, like I said, he's one of the iconic players in the NFL, and probably, like I said, one of the best, if not the best, running back to ever play the game. And he died. How old was he? Let's see,
84.
87. 87.
87, yeah. Mm.
So they say it comes in threes, and you always think about it. When somebody passes, okay, there's gonna be three. That's what I've always heard.
Yeah.
And now today we get the news that Tina Turner, legendary rock star, singer, she passed away today at 83. Um, I think she was living in. You hadn't seen her make any public appearances lately. You see pictures every once in a while, which she still looked good, but uh, unfortunately today she passed away. And I know this is showing my age again, like Matthew says, but when she really got big, I think it was like 1983 or 84 when that a Private Dancer came out, 5 times platinum, and she had so many great songs. What's Love Got to Do with It? No, don't do it, Matthew.
Come
Better Be
on.
Good to Me, Private Dancer. Um, yeah, and then she was a big part of We Are the World. Um, but she did some movies too. She was in one of the Mad Max movies, I believe, Beyond Thunderdome. She had a song from that. She did her biographical song. What was that called? What was the name of that movie that she did? Hold on, I'll tell you right now, and I can't remember the.
The one about her life.
What's Love Got to Do with It? Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the name of the song. So, and she had I mean, hearing her story, seeing her story, dealing with Ike, of course, who was a big time jerk, and what she had to deal with, and the fact that her career really took off. She had a resurgence in her career in the '80s, and just became a legend. But yeah, she I think she was living in Switzerland, if I'm not mistaken. She passed away today at the age of 83. It's just sad, dude, because I mean, I hate to sound like a broken record, but we talk about it up here a lot. A lot of these athletes, artists, uh, actors that we grew up watching are are getting to the age now where they could go away any day, and yeah,
And it's like, you grew up listening and watching these people, and it just seems like everybody that these new people just don't match with them. George Jones said it best, man. Who's gonna fill their shoes?
yeah. Oh, showing your age again.
But yeah, well, that's thanks to my granddaddy.
Yeah, your granddaddy's a classic, that's for sure.
Oh yeah,
Um,
well, George Jones is too. He was awesome. I love his
I
music
just
now.
watched George Jones get the old video of him getting pulled on the side of the road with the camera. Camera crew was there filming him getting pulled for a DWI, DUI, whatever. Robert, what are you talking about here? Robert's talking about can't wait for the new documentary on American gladiators next Tuesday. What are you talking about? We got to have details. Let's look this up. Well, while I'm googling that, um, gosh knows, I'm about to kill myself over here. Let me see. There was some news out of Washington, of course. Since we've been gone, that's a Kelly Clarkson song, Matthew.
Yeah,
Since
sing it.
we've
Go ahead
been
and sing
gone,
it. Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
okay, the American. Okay, here we go on ESPN. You can stream the American Gladiators documentary. Do you remember that show, Matthew?
Uh, Not much.
Okay, that was probably before your time.
Yeah.
The epic tale of the American Gladiators TV show embarking on an odyssey to uncover the truth behind the series' improbable creation. So that is next next Tuesday night at 8:30 on ESPN. There you go, Robert. Got you a plug in there. Um, let's go to the NFL right quick. Since we've been gone, I can't breathe for the first. I can breathe for the first time. Um, the Washington Commanders have been not officially sold, but might as well be officially sold to that group that Magic Johnson's in. Did you hear though? Former Duke basketball player Brian Davis, and this is probably before your time too. He was there with Christian Laettner. He was like Christian Laettner's best friend. He was in a group that put a bid in on it, and there's some kind of he's filing some kind of lawsuit against the I think it's the bank or something that he placed a bid with, uh, he's apparently they took the money or something like that. I don't understand. I didn't understand all about what was going on. He's saying they took the money. Let me see if I can find a. But yeah, the Commanders are in the process of being sold. It should be approved. Uh, it should be approved soon.
I think he was saying like that he placed the bid, but the money never went through before.
Okay, Urban Echo Energy, an energy company owned by former Duke basketball player Brian Davis, sued Bank of America on Friday for $500 billion in connection with the sale of the Washington Commanders. The company accuses the financial institution of preventing its $7.1 billion offer for the team from being credibly considered by Daniel and Tanya Snyder, who together own and sell the Commanders. The complaint also demands compensatory and punitive damage that, according to the court docket, supposedly brings the total damage to $500 billion. So Josh Harris is that group. Him and Magic Johnson is in that group. They're the ones that's pretty much going to get the Commanders. That was around $6 billion is what they go there. So it's got to go through this whole process. And I've heard timetables for, one time they were saying it could be approved by the time the draft was over. Now they're saying by the time camp starts. Now then they'll say by the time the season starts, or all this. But one thing they didn't count on, uh, earlier today came out that the Commander's application for a federal trademark protection was rejected. So they're trying to trademark the name Commanders, but they got rejected. Trademark attorney Josh Durbin, who posted the information on Twitter, expressed a belief that eventually the Commanders would secure the protections they seek. Let's see. The trademarks office recent non-final office actions an ordinary course step in the standard trademark registration process. We will respond to the trademark office's office action and are confident the registration will be issued. So there's a squatter. There's somebody that took the name. When they had the whole list that people could go by of names, possible names the uh, that the Washington team could have been, which was the Washington football team at the time. This guy went in and he went in ahead and filed for trademarks on a lot of these names. And this guy, his name is Martin McCauley, has said he will surrender the trademarks to the team when the time comes. So I'm sure he's not going to surrender it for nothing though. It's going to
Yeah,
be he's looking for, I don't know if he's looking for season tickets or something. He's going to get something out of this deal. He didn't just do that for nothing.
yeah. I remember when he did that because like they came up with one name and then they came up with another one. Then they had another one, and that one, didn't go
Yeah,
through. That was one that I really liked. I think it was called like the Sky Blazers or something.
I was hoping they would get the Red Wolves, but
Yeah, I did like that one too. But
yeah, but
Sky
that would have been
Blazers,
the best one. I'm not the Commanders. One of them,
yeah,
one of them was Red Tails, which I know, the I think they were talking about that with the old
Indian.
no, it wasn't one of the Indian. It was the airplane. The guys that flew in the Air Force. It was a group called the Red Tails. But and I understand that. But when I think of Red Tails, I'm thinking of somebody that just got their butt kicked and their tails red. So I mean, as far as a football team goes, not no
Right.
disrespect to those guys, but yeah. I mean, I'm sure it'll happen. Everybody, there's some people out there who are talking about. Well, maybe they'll change their name back to the Redskins now that it's new ownership, and now with this getting, it's just a process, guys. They're not going
Yeah.
to change their name back to the Redskins. Don't get your hopes up. I mean,
there was a rumor of that going around, and I remember telling
yeah,
somebody like, no, no,
it's not going to
that
happen.
name's gone. that
Yeah,
that one
they're
ain't
they're
coming.
not going to go back.
No,
Excuse me. They're not going to go back and do that. There's no way they're going to go back. I would be so surprised if they did that. So surprised.
yeah,
Um, other NFL news. Of course, now I don't think we've been here since Aaron Rodgers has got a new team. He's now a New York Jets, and he's wearing number 8. You see that, right? He's wearing number 8 like he wore
yep.
back in college instead of number 12. He's but today his first practice. Well, this was yesterday. His first practice in front of the media. The 39-year-old quarterback strained a calf while participating in conditioning drills. He says, I don't think it's too serious. He said he just took a vet day. He didn't have a noticeable limp, but stretched his lower legs and ankles several times throughout the practice. Um, he said, I don't know. It's just running, I guess. So that they'll see the next time they'll be able to see, as far as media goes, see Rogers will be next Wednesday when he practice is open. So already the Jets are probably holding their breath, thinking, okay, we just got this guy. And his first practice in front of everybody, he's already pulling up lame. So is this a sign for you Jets fans out there? Because you know how things go for the Jets sometimes. Is this a sign that maybe you may have made a mistake here?
I mean, the owners and the coaches must be, they got to be, like you said, holding their breath and
Yeah, I
about
mean,
to kick themselves in the tail for it.
he may not. Granted, and I'm not making this out to be anything other than this. He probably just strained his calf, but it's
Yeah,
just you got to really think when they saw that in practice, they're like, oh, we gave up all this, and now he might not even get on the field for us. So,
what
39
did
years old, that's a big chance to take to give up all that for a 39-year-old quarterback.
what did they give up, and how much did they give them
Oh
for
gosh, let me see.
too much? I know.
It was a lot. It was a
Yeah,
lot. I'm gonna try to bring up the what they had on the trade. Let's see. Let's see. The Jets. What did they send him? It has a lot of moving parts. Trade includes a swap of first round picks in the draft this year. They did it this year. Uh, Packers picked 13th, and the Jets moved to 15th. Jets are also sending Green Bay a second round pick, a sixth-round pick, as well as a 2024 conditional pick that will be a first round pick if Rodgers plays 65% of the plays for the Jets, or second round pick if he does not. And the Jets did get a fifth-round pick, but so it won't really as much as I thought it was. But he's 39 years old. You just gave up a first-round pick, possibly your next year's first-round pick for him. So
and even a second round pick. I mean,
yeah, if it's a second
big
round,
too. Yeah,
if the second round, that means he didn't play a lot, and
yeah,
you're scrambling really. If he didn't play in 65% of the games, then something's wrong. He should be
you're
playing
right.
100% of your games. But yeah, so a little injury there. So that may, we'll have to keep an eye on that as stuff goes along. And we don't talk a lot of NBA up here, but we got to talk some NBA playoffs because ding dong, the witch is dead. Witch oh witch, the wicked witch. And we're talking about LeBron. LeBron James eliminated from the playoffs, swept His
But
Lakers were
Denver Nuggets.
swept by the Nuggets. Um, dude, this guy, watching him the other night, watching him throughout the series in the highlights, and people, that's what I say. I don't watch much, but I see the highlights on social media, and there was there was a play. He went up for a layup, and granted, when you first look at it in real time, the guy came over the top and blocked the shot, and there was some contact made, but it's not. When you look at it in slow motion, they were hard. They hardly touched any more than a regular NBA play like that. Which the foul was grant. I'll give it. It was a foul, but he laid on the floor like for a minute or so, like he was just hurt, just milking it.
Worse.
And then there was a play where he got nudge across his nose. He goes flying off to the side, grabbing his wrist that never got hit. I mean, this is somebody that is supposed to be the GOAT and does these flops and does all this other crap. I'm like, dude, you are really setting a good example. But
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
we don't have to worry about him winning the championship, and he's mulling. They say he's mulling his retirement, which I don't believe that. He'll be back next year. He's just doing that to get some more attention.
right. And he said he has a lot to think about.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Which a few months ago he was saying he was going to stay until his son Bronny got to the NBA. So
yeah,
uh, I mean, make up your mind, dude. I'll tell you this from the way he looked in the last 5 minutes of one of those games, he was winded, he was tired, and I mean, you can't defeat uh, the age. There's nobody that's done that. Old Father Time. You are not going to beat him. He may play around with you for a little while like Tom Brady, but eventually it's going to catch up with you. And I
yeah.
think it's starting to catch up with LeBron. So the Denver Nuggets move on. And now we're just waiting for in the Eastern Conference, the Celtics and the Heat, which the Celtics fended off elimination last night and stopped the sweep with a pretty big win over the Heat last night because they were getting dominated. The game three, it looked like the Celtics just gave up, but they fend off elimination. Will they win four straight? That's doubtful, but they've still got Miami can put them away whenever they win next, and maybe it'll be my NBA Finals, Miami Heat, Denver Nuggets. What do you think?
I just hope Miami Heat don't win.
What you got against the Heat? You don't
I don't
like Butler?
know. Huh?
You don't like
Jimmy.
Butler?
I mean, I like Jimmy Butler, but I don't know. It's just something about the Heat. Maybe it's because LeBron played for him one time.
Well, what team? I mean,
What team hasn't he played
it's
for?
like
Yeah,
okay, LeBron. He played for the Heat, the Cavaliers, the Lakers, wherever he thought he could win a championship.
yeah,
I'll tell you this: I did see a clip, and it's on the Final Score Facebook page. Actor Michael Rappaport, who is evidently not a big LeBron fan, after they got eliminated, saying some things, and in the background, agreeing with Rappaport was former UNC Tar Heel and NBA star Rasheed Wallace. Yeah, it was pretty funny to see what they were. Yeah, I won't repeat what some of the things they were saying, but yeah, it was. You could tell they were not LeBron fans, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. Denver looks like they're going to have a little more time, I'm sure, to and that time that could be beneficial or it could be detrimental to you because you lose a lot of that playing rust. You got to get that rust off after you've been away from it for a while. So if
yeah.
they're off a week, that could be bad for them. All right. Speaking of playoffs, our Carolina Hurricanes not doing good right now. Down 3-0. And matter of fact, just dropped the puck at 8 o'clock. Let me see. I'm sure. Well, they probably hadn't dropped the puck yet because 8 o'clock they could start at 8:15. Yeah, on TNT right now, Carolina looking to fend off elimination themselves. They're down 3-0 to the Florida Panthers. Eastern Conference Finals for the Hurricanes. And look, I'm not a big hockey fan, but I pull for the Hurricanes.
Same.
I want to see the Hurricanes win, but not looking good right now. My buddy Lynn Bryant is he's not doing good right now as far as that goes. But hopefully Carolina can fend this off and maybe get back into it, and maybe they can get to that Stanley Cup for the second time. You ever been to a Hurricanes game?
Yes, I have, and it was the best thing ever. It like
Best
you know.
thing ever, even better than going to a Giants game. Well, yeah,
No, I mean,
okay, yeah, I can see that.
yeah. I'm sorry. My bad. My bad. I meant to say
No, I'll agree with you. That could be
one
true.
one of the best things ever because the atmosphere. I don't know. Like I've never been to a basketball game, like a
Right.
professional basketball game, but I've been to a football game, been to a baseball game, and I've been to a hockey game. And hockey, like the environment is just different.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, it's a static in there,
You
and
sound
it was fun.
you using Mike Tyson words now, Mike. It's ecstatic.
It's
It's
a static.
ecstatic.
He
You know he's listening. He's listening, right? He's gonna come looking for you.
is.
But yeah, hopefully Carolina can pull it off tonight because I mean, and they've been in, I think just about every game. The last game was 1-0. You know, the game one in Raleigh went to 4 overtime. So
Yeah.
it's not like they're getting blown out. It's just things things just haven't gone right for them. So
And I don't know what it is about the Carolina Hurricanes. Just they can't make it past the Eastern Conference Finals, man.
they've yeah. There's just that one time where they got to the Stanley Cup and
Yeah.
to the finals, and they won it that year. So keep your fingers crossed, guys. Hurricane fans, keep your fingers crossed. So NASCAR, we don't talk a lot of NASCAR here, but NASCAR returned to kind of like their roots this past Sunday night with the All Star race in North Wilkesboro, which I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know how many years it's been since they have been at North Wilkesboro, but the crowd, I mean, tickets sold out just almost immediately, and the you could tell before the race because I don't watch much NASCAR anymore. We used to go to my parents on Sunday night and eat supper with them and my aunts and uncles, and they had it on there. But the the pregame or pre-race, excuse me, was pretty funny because me and my dad and my brother and one of my uncles were sitting there, and my uncle is a big time race fan. He has been his whole life. He took me to my first race. So we were all talking about when they introduced each driver, what we thought of the driver. And, some was good, some was not good. Um, but Denny Hamlin, it was so funny. He got booed. And the crowd was like, it was kind of like when the way they had it set up, the drivers would come out with their pit crew. They come out from behind a stage and they walk like down a walkway, and the crowd was on either side of them. And Denny Hamlin, people were slapping hands. Well, there was one guy that held his hand up for Denny Hamlin to slap hands with, and then before Hamlin could do it, he took it away, and just it was so funny. But yeah, one of my other uncles was like, my aunt came in there was telling me, "What are y'all doing? What are y'all doing here?" And then she was like, "Well, those four over there," he said, "them drivers are getting introduced, and those four over there, they're talking really bad about them." So, but yeah, it ends up being a. I didn't watch much of it, but it said it was a boring race. Kyle Larson gets the win, but after the race, the big story after the race. Um, Apparently, Bubba Wallace, who drives the number 23 car, Michael Jordan owned car, uh, he was getting ready to be interviewed and flips the bird right there on national television. And what I'm hearing now, he will not be disciplined for that. I don't understand that, but
Yeah,
anyway,
me either. I don't get that.
NASCAR has opened an investigation into apparently his radio was hacked into, and there was a comment made saying, "Go back where you came from," which you're not wanted in NASCAR. Go back where you came from. It's what was said. Um, I don't have really any comment on that, but oh, not starting off good for the Hurricanes. Excuse me, they've already down 1-0. Not even a minute into it. So
Oh man.
yeah, so not starting off the best. But yeah, I don't know. I don't. There was a whole incident uh, uh, either last year or the year before last, where they said
Yeah.
that there was a noose put up in his garage, where his garage was at a track, which ended up not being the case. And now this, I don't know. I mean, this is getting ridiculous.
I'm
Um,
just starting to think it's more about getting in the news,
Getting
um,
attention.
getting attention, publicity. There's always something going on with with him, and whether if it's true or not, I think it's mostly just publicity.
I,
Um,
I just don't I just don't understand. Um, in a lot of other sports, whether it's NBA, NFL, MLB, whatever. If you do, I mean, unless you're Stone Cold Steve Austin, you can't flip off people on a on camera like that. It doesn't set a good example for you're supposed to be setting an example. You're an
right.
athlete, but and I know what Bark said. I'm not your role model and all that stuff, but you can't do like this. It doesn't look good for NASCAR. The fact they're not disciplining doesn't look good. But you know what? I just don't understand NASCAR anymore. I thought they were taking a step to the good by going back to North Wilkesboro, doing this, and then seeing something like this. I just don't think it's right. I think they should.
Yeah.
I think there should be some kind of punishment for him. And I'm not just saying that. If any of these guys had done it on national television in front of a camera, I think they would have done it too. I want to make that clear right now. If Kurt Busch would have done it, I definitely. And I'm not a Kurt Busch fan or Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch.
Yeah.
If he'd have done it, I would have wanted him to be punished too. So before we'll make that clear right now.
You do
Uh,
one, you do one. You do one, you got to do one for all.
Yeah,
Whatever the saying.
exactly, exactly. And
Yeah.
I'm sure, you know, I think somebody was saying that Earnhardt Jr. one year got fined for saying "damn" on an interview after the race, and it wasn't like he was derogatory towards anybody. It was just like, "Damn, that was that was good," uh,
Right.
and he got fined for that. So I mean, you got a
Man,
precedent.
imagine if he would have gave somebody the bird on national television.
Yeah, you got a precedent there with somebody saying just a cuss word and not meaning anything derogatory towards somebody that got fined for it. But this guy is flipping off. Obviously, somebody, and whether it's a joke or not, you're doing it on national television. It doesn't look good for you. I don't care if you get fined or not. You still don't. You still lose a lot of respect from people, and it doesn't look good for you. And Michael Jordan, it doesn't look good for your race team either. But
Oh
that's
yeah,
just
for
my
sure. I
opinion.
mean,
Um, I do want to talk about one thing before we go. And let me see if I can get it right quick. I should have had it over here earlier. All right. I while we were off, and I came up here live and talked about it a little bit, but while we were away, I used to read a lot more than I do now. But I bought a book, and I don't know if you remember this guy, Matthew, a guy named Scott Williams. He played at Carolina back in the late '80s. And I mean, you go from playing for Carolina, which is a great basketball school, great ACC basketball school, along with Duke, State, and all those guys. You spend 4 years there, and then doesn't get drafted to the NBA, but walks on as a free agent with the Chicago Bulls in 1991. So he gets there. He's a center, forward or whatever. He's a big dude, about 6'10", 6'11". His first 3 years there, they win the NBA championship. So, um, yeah, and his book, which tells it's not just a basketball story. This book is called Through the Fire, um, and it talks about why. I don't know if you've ever heard this story. While he was at Carolina, his dad was very abusive all through his childhood, and when he left to go to Carolina, his mom, she had got all the kids out of her house. So his mom decided she was going to get away. And she did, but he found her. And Dean Smith had to come to his room to tell him that his dad had killed his mom and then killed himself. Um,
Wow.
yeah, that was I want to say that was his freshman year. And to read the stories he has in here, I mean, I went through this, and it's not a long book, but I went through this in one night. It was 130. Let me see, 150 pages, but a very good read. And if you guys want to check it out, you check it out on Amazon. I showed the book right there, Through the Fire, Scott Williams. I've been trying and trying and trying to get him to come on the show. Haven't had no luck yet. I've had some chatter back and forth about the book with him, but as far as getting on the podcast, I've had no luck. We're going to keep trying. I'm not going to bug him to death, but we're going to keep trying to get him on here, and hopefully we can talk about the book. I may do a little episode on this book, like a short episode on it, maybe sometime in the near future. But let me see what else is going on. And looking at the Carolina score, still 1-0 Florida right now. Morant. What do you think about that whole situation, Matt? Have you heard about that situation?
I've not.
Okay, he got suspended earlier in the NBA season for, I think it was on social media, showing a gun.
Yeah.
Okay, so he comes back from that, and after they get eliminated from the playoffs, he's on somebody's Instagram live, and guess what he's doing?
Holding a
Showing a
gun.
gun.
Yeah.
So he's been like suspended, and he's going to lose. This is not just going to hurt his NBA career. His endorsements, they're already talking about. I think he's got a Nike shoe. That's gonna that's in jeopardy if it hadn't already been gone. What are these guys thinking? I mean, this is your livelihood. This is what's going to carry you. You're not going to be able to play basketball forever. So you need to be getting all the money you can, and you know, stop acting like a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's still got some maturing to do, but you can't. Learn from your mistakes. If you can't learn from your mistakes, then I don't know what else to tell you. But to do it again after you was suspended all that time, yeah, it just shows me evidently he didn't take it serious enough the first time.
I mean, if you don't take it serious first time and something worse happens the second time, you can't be mad at nobody but yourself.
Well, yeah, you did it to yourself. That's
Yeah.
for sure. But Yeah, I hate it for him because he's a talented basketball player, but you've got to be more of a man off the court. Grow up. You need to grow up. I know all that money is getting thrown at you and all this. Yeah, you just need to grow up. Ah, we're finishing up. What else have we got here? NBA draft, NBA draft, NFL draft in 2025 going to Green Bay. And I'll tell you this, I I listen, and I'm a Steelers fan, Matthew. You know that. I listened to Ben Roethlisberger's podcast, and last week he had Kenny Pickett on, which was interesting because you got the last Steelers quarterback versus hopefully the future of the Steelers at quarterback. Ben said when they asked him how about uh, what he thought about Pickett to start with, he said initially, this is what he said. I wouldn't say that I wanted Kenny to necessarily fail, but when someone comes to replace you and you're like, I still feel like I still had some gas in the tank. I hope he doesn't come ball out because then people will be like, Ben who? But honestly,
Yeah,
as he said, but honestly, as you started playing, I found myself rooting more and more for you. And he admitted he felt bad about not supporting Pickett initially, and he said it likely stemmed from his own selfishness. He added he was unaware of Pickett's potential. Said I just didn't know. I had no idea. I didn't know you were the runner that you were. I was pleasantly surprised and glad that I was wrong. And he went on to call Pickett the future of the Steelers. So, yeah, that was kind of interesting to hear that because I can see that though. You think about it, Matthew. You say you were this big time quarterback for the Giants, and this guy comes in behind you after and you still feel like you could have played a couple more years. Do you want that guy to light it up?
I mean, initially probably not. I mean, because I think that'll be anybody. I don't care how
Yeah,
selfless you are. It's just it comes in with the competitivity. I
yep,
wouldn't want nobody to come in there and do better than I was doing, and the year they come back, take them to the Super Bowl or anything. Because what would that make
exactly.
me
It
look
makes you
like?
feel like, well, anybody could have done it then.
Yeah. I get where he's coming from, but I tell you what really it says a lot about being to come out there and admit it and own up to it publicly
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. And if you guys, if you want to check out that podcast, it is called "Footballing with Ben Roethlisberger," and he's got I can't I don't know the guy's whole name that is like his co-host. I know he's Spence, but they have guests on there sometimes, and they also get like these craft beers sent in to them, and they taste beers and get their rankings on beer. So that's pretty cool too. Now,
Wait,
anything else you got, Matthew? Before we go,
you should look up the Eli Manning show.
I should. You're right. I would because I'll tell you this. I found myself watching more of Eli and Peyton on Monday Night Football than uh, regular telecast.
Right.
Next next chapters with Eli Manning, is that what it's called?
Yeah, next chapter. On the Monday night, I think that's what it's called for the
Okay,
Monday night football
I'll
show.
definitely look it up.
Chapters. But look up the Eli Manning show. It's really cool. I think Ben was up there a couple times,
Okay,
and he brings other players, and other singers, and Eli even got a rapper to come out there, up there, a New York rapper,
uh huh.
and Eli Manning did a rap song.
I've heard him do that before.
Yeah, it was funny. He was like, maybe I should stick to football.
Well, I'll definitely check that out. And guys, if you got any sports podcasts, like I listen to a lot of podcasts, sometimes while I'm at work, sometimes at home. But yeah, I've got my rotation, but I'm always looking to add good ones to it. And a good football one is or a good sports one is what I'm looking for. And you know, in addition to the final score, of course. But I never look, no, I never listen to our podcast. I will go ahead. I do not want to hear myself talk.
Yeah, I don't.
If you
Yeah,
guys like it, that's fine. But uh, before we get out of here, guys, I just want to thank you for your support and ask you to wherever you listen to this podcast at, whether it's Spotify, Apple, whatever, give us a 5-star review. Subscribe to our Facebook page, YouTube channel, and find us on social media at Facebook, Twitter. We're up there, and we're very responsive. And we're going to have some. We're actually going to have some guests coming soon, and I will let you in on a little secret later on about that. I can't let the cat out of the bag about some big news coming this way for the final score, but hopefully soon I'll be able to let you know what's going on. But Matthew, last words.
if anybody ever, we like y'all to be inclusive with us too. So if y'all want to be on the show, just hit me
Oh
or
yeah,
hit Stevie or me up, and
we
tell
get you
us
on
what you
here.
want to talk about. Yeah, we like to have
We,
people up here to talk to. Because Stevie, we get tired of hearing Stevie all the time. He'd already said he don't like to hear his voice,
exactly.
and after a while,
I would love to have more people up here.
listening to him, my ear starts itching. I get irritated. Um, you get
Jeez.
my joke there, Stevie.
Yeah, I got you.
You like
Irritated.
that? Irritated.
Irritated. You sound like you
Yeah,
typical Southern, like our Southern accent. Irritated. I hear
irritated.
you,
Yeah.
bud. All right,
Well, yeah.
guys. That's going to do it for this week with Matthew's dry jokes. And you got one last dry joke before we go?
What's love got
Oh,
to?
shut
No,
up.
no, I'm good.
Dude. Anyway, all right, guys, that's going to do it for this week on the final score. You guys have a great week. We'll see you next week on the final score.